So hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hey girl, my name is Lucy. I always say to stay subscribed. We have a good time on this channel. As you've seen by the title, we're going to talk about how to be your own best friend. Let's just jump right into the video. Now, the reason why I decided to talk about this topic is because for a while now, people comment about my friendships, right? Like pretty much anyone you guys have seen me with, like over and over again. And also like in the past couple of days, I got a lot of messages on Instagram talking about my friendship with my best friend, which is so crazy to say right now. But yeah, people talking about, you know, like how they want that type of friendship. What can they do to get that type of friendship? Someone had reached out to me on Instagram talking about how to find their person. One person where they could share things with because she had said it wasn't working out for her. She's just been disappointed. I've spoken about friendships a lot of time on this channel, so you can definitely use those to get good people, like valuable, high value women in your life. But to be honest, it all begins with you. It begins with how you view yourself, the relationship you have with yourself. This is definitely self-awareness aside. How do you relate with yourself? Like what kind of relationship do you have with yourself? Do you have a love-hate relationship with yourself? Do you have a close friend relationship with yourself? Do you have a best friend relationship with yourself? Do you have an acquaintance relationship with yourself? And a lot of people don't know that this is a real thing. You have to be friends with yourself, like be best friends with yourself before you can have somebody else be best friends with you. We often lean on other people for happiness and friendship and companionship, forgetting that we can definitely be that to ourselves. When you're that to yourself already, it's easy for you to attract these things from other people into your life. So I want to talk to you guys first on how to be your own best friend, how to see yourself as the only person you could rely on, regardless of whoever you actually have around you. I have a couple things that have helped me over the years. Before we jump into those things, let me talk to you about my friendship journey. I have mentioned a few times on this channel that I am not, or I was not, a friendship type of person. This happened for a couple reasons. The first reason is because growing up, I was not really allowed to have friends. I mean, it wasn't even a written rule or a spoken rule from my parents. It was just basically a thing where I just knew to not have friends or bring anybody over. I was raised in a really strict household. My father was really strict, so we weren't really allowed to have friends or people over, or we weren't really allowed to build a community outside home. Basically, that's when my issue started. Communicating with people or having people around me was quite difficult because I didn't grow up like that. Okay, and then the second reason is because I've had a lot of failed friendships. I've had a lot of fake friendships. I've had a lot of disappointment with friends. Each time I got disappointed, I pulled away from the idea of friendship. It shaped me into finally being someone who didn't want a friend. I'm one person that never ever believed that I would have a best friend, and that's the reason why earlier on when I said best friend, I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah, she's my best friend, and it took us a while to actually admit that we're best friends. And I never thought I was the kind of person to have another female or somebody else that is not my partner, romantic partner I mean, that I would always lean onto or think about in a certain way or love in a certain way. It was never my reality, I thought. Okay, so I didn't really rate friendships. I've said this a lot of times on this channel. That made me intensely, immensely embedded in myself as a human being and reliant on myself, dependent on myself. And that can definitely be a bad thing. There could be negative sides to that, like you being alone and you not being able to communicate with people, you not being comfortable in social settings, right? Thankfully, I'm not that kind of person. I mean, I'm not the most outgoing person, but at the same time, I don't have like a psychological issue with interacting or networking with people. In my situation, it's basically I was my best friend all my life. I always had this idea in my head that you could only have a best friend growing up. So basically, you could have that one person that sticks in your life or is in your life for years on years, and then you guys grow old together, you guys have kids, your kids become best friends. That's the only way I thought best friends worked until obviously I met my own best friend 2 years ago. I never thought that was possible, you know, to have a best friend at like, you know, later on in life, literally in my late 20s. It is definitely possible, and honestly beyond that, it is also possible. So if you're in your 30s, your late 30s, 40s, you can definitely meet your person. It doesn't matter. You can meet your person at any time. When God says it's the right time, that's when it's going to happen, and you need to trust God's time. I always had to rely on myself for every single thing, for emotional support, for conversations, for companionship. For the longest time, I was my own 911. Sometimes it's sad to say, and I was happy about it. I feel like what really opens the door for real and genuine friendships in your life is when you're content being by yourself, when you're content being alone. So you have to learn to be your own best friend before somebody else can be your best friend. If you don't learn to be your own best friend, you're going to find yourself relying on somebody else for happiness, for pretty much everything, and that becomes a burden on the other person. So you become a burden to the other person. I'm going to talk you guys through the things that you can do to help you be your own best friend. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. They are not new on this channel. I have spoken a million times about Skillshare. I have shouted, I have screamed about Skillshare in the past couple of months because I want you guys to really understand the opportunity that is placed before you. If you've never heard of Skillshare, or this might be the first video you're watching of mine, Skillshare is the largest online learning platform that is led by industry professionals. They have classes on different industries. It doesn't matter what you're trying to pick up a skill in. You can find a class, a learning path on Skillshare to help you get from beginner level to advanced level and in a short period of time. One of the biggest things I have been highlighting the past couple of months when I'm speaking about Skillshare is the learning path. This is amazing because when you go on the platform initially, you're not really sure how to take different classes in order so you become a pro at that particular skill you're trying to pick up. But with this learning path, Skillshare have put together, they've handpicked classes, put them together kind of like in a bundle, so you take them in order to go from beginner to advanced level. The struggle so many times is, oh, what class can I take after this one? You don't have to worry about that anymore because Skillshare has these videos already put in bundles for you. Again, it doesn't matter what you're trying to learn. They have classes on arts and craft, fashion design, social media marketing, freelancing, entrepreneurship, pretty much anything that you're trying to learn, gain more skills in. Sis, go to Skillshare and you'll definitely find something there for you. One class I recommend to you if you're trying to look for a business to start in 2024, because I know that is hot on the market now, is crocheting. And Skillshare has a learning path on crocheting. I feel like you need to run and not crawl if you're trying to get into that industry or that market because it's hot right now. Whenever I speak about Skillshare, I always come with a little bit more. So the first 500 people to use my link, which is on the screen and also in the description box below, gets their first month completely free. This is a deal that I feel like while it's still ongoing, you guys need to jump on. We're still in the early months of the year 2024, setting our year right, starting our year right, getting this money, monetizing our craft, our journey through financial stability, growth, all of that. You need guidance, okay? And Skillshare is here to give you that guidance. I 100% recommend that you go on Skillshare. It doesn't matter what you want to advance in. There is a class and a learning path for you on Skillshare. Now, the first mindset switch I want you to have beginning this journey of being your own best friend is understanding that being your own best friend doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot depend on other people or depend on that special person in your life. It just means that you place yourself above everyone else. You come to yourself first before you go to somebody else. So you come first. Basically, that's just what it is. Regardless of whoever is in my life, regardless of whoever is in my corner, regardless of whoever cheers me on, I cheer myself on. I will look at myself first and be like, okay, people are happy for me. People want me to succeed. People are clapping for me, but am I clapping for myself? You always have to think about it from that perspective. Yes, it's good to have the support that you're getting from people and, you know, the person in your life, your partner and everything. Am I even supporting myself? And to be honest, the times where people are happy for me for a big thing, I mainly focus on how I feel about that big thing. And it's good to appreciate people in your life that clap and cheer you on, but you have to think about how you truly feel about that situation as well. Like, that's most important. Like, they might be happy for you for something, but you might not necessarily be okay with it. You always have to think about yourself, what you're thinking in a situation, what you would like in a situation, what benefits you in a situation. So you are your own cheerleader, you're your biggest fan, you're your best friend before anybody else is your best friend. Now, the second biggest thing that really helps me and also helped me when I was alone without a best friend is, you know, having conversations with yourself out loud. A lot of times this can be considered crazy, and I used to consider it crazy for the longest time before I started talking to a therapist, right? I used to think, oh my God, something is really wrong with me that I can comfortably sit and have a conversation, full-blown conversation with myself. I used to think it was crazy. So many times I would even Google it. What happens if you speak to yourself, if you're talking to yourself out loud? Like, are you crazy? Do you have a mental situation or a mental illness? But no, you don't. Okay, sis, I can tell you for a fact, we all do it and you should do it often. It helps you release things. It helps you also keep quiet. It helps you shut the fuck up. Most times when I speak to myself, it's usually relieving and reassuring, because in that line, I reassure myself. I'm able to reassure myself. I'm able to be my own companion. When I speak to myself about a situation I'm struggling with, honestly, I don't need to speak to anybody else. And sometimes if I want to hear it back, I record myself. I've told you guys on this channel, I would go on my voice memo app on my phone, on the iPhones, and I record myself. I'll say what I want to say. When I play back, if there are holes to be filled, I fill it. It works a million times for me. It helps you stay calm. It helps you not act out of emotions and react out of emotions in certain situations. Talk about a situation over and over and over and over again, and you'll feel better. Trust me. So if you learn how to have conversations with yourself, you'll be comfortable doing so and not looking for pretty much anyone who can listen. People that don't know how to have conversations with themselves, they're usually running out to people to look for that comfort, to look for someone who would listen to them, to look for someone who would reassure them. But if you're able to do that for yourself, the kind of emotional strength it gives you is unmatched. That's one thing that I always say. If you are your biggest cheerleader, your biggest fan, your biggest supporter, your best friend, so many things are pretty much easy for you in life. You don't lean on other people for happiness, you lean on yourself. You don't lean on other people's opinions. You're not easily influenced or easily swayed, because you are strong in what you believe. Your decisions, your actions are very much valuable and priority to you, so people cannot easily come and sway you. You're not gullible. You cannot be gullible. You become emotionally intelligent as well, because you're able to sit with yourself calmly and dissect issues. And that's pretty much a strength that a lot of women especially should crave to have, especially in our modern day where emotions are running high. People are really, really sensitive. If you can have conversations with yourself, if you can sit calmly and talk about things with yourself without involving A, B, C, D with different opinions come in and confuse you even more, you have emotional intelligence, you have emotional strength. The third thing I'm going to recommend that you do on this journey is to treat yourself the same way you would treat a best friend or your best friend if you already have one. Now think about the different ways that you would treat your best friend. Would you talk negatively about your best friend? You love, you respect, you value your friendship, you raise your friend or your friendship in a high standard, high esteem. Yeah, you should be giving yourself all those things first before you can give it to somebody else. You should always try to fill your own cup before you start filling somebody else's cup. If not, you will run dry. And when you run dry, you begin to depend on other people to pour back into your cup. You always have to think about life from this angle. Am I fueling my life? Am I fueling my thoughts? And sometimes you maybe pour into other people's cup, they take it and run with it. Then you become empty. They're not even able to give you that back that you've already given. And that's why you see people say, oh, she's selfish. Oh my God, I was there for her. She wasn't there for me. I give her all my life, but she cannot give me all her life, because honestly, she cannot. The way you wouldn't have negative thoughts about your best friend, you wouldn't talk badly about your best friend, you should never have negative thoughts about yourself or talk badly about yourself. So you should treat yourself the exact same way that you would treat your best friend, or your best friend would expect you to treat them. If you can give yourself all these things, you would love yourself even more. You would appreciate yourself even more. You would have everything. You'll be fulfilled from within. You feel established from within. You have that sense of peace. You wouldn't mind being alone. Genuine peace, genuine companionship. And if anybody comes into your life, they become a plus. They don't become main character. They don't become your life, your all in all. They become a plus. People come and go. We know that, right? Even when situations don't go well between you and the person, or you and those people, you're not devastated. You're probably heartbroken for like a while, but you get over it. Yeah, life goes on. Do you get what I mean? Now, the fourth tip on my list is don't break your own boundaries, and always remember to keep the promises that you make to yourself. And think about it this way. If you have a best friend, you always, as a human being, I'm hoping that you have boundaries, right? And regardless of whoever is in your life, best friend, family, husband, children, nobody should break your boundaries. Nobody should step on or tramp on your boundaries. People should always respect your boundaries. But the most important thing is, do you actually respect your own boundaries? Times where you don't want to speak, times where you want to be alone, times where pretty much want to do certain things and you expect other people to allow you go through that phase. Do you allow yourself go through that phase, or are you hard on yourself? Because to be honest, we tend to be really hard on ourselves. We always tend to treat other people better than we treat ourselves. Things that I would let slide that people would do to me or do around, I wouldn't give myself that grace. And it doesn't make any sense, because you should love yourself more than you love anything or anyone else. Like, you come first. So are you keeping your words to yourself? The way you would sit here and talk about that friendship that didn't go well, and how that friend will always sly you, that friend that will make a promise and never keep up with their words. Are you doing the same to yourself. Like when you say you will do something, are you really following through with that? Like when you say you want to lose weight, you want to be a lot more healthier, you want to go to the gym, you want to start a business, you want to do all these things for yourself, you want to advance, are you keeping to your words? Are you keeping the promises that you make to yourself? The same way you want people to keep the promises they make to you, keep the promises that you make to you. Now, the fifth thing on my list, which I feel like is one of the most important, because this is what builds you up as a strong person. Even when you have your best friend, it is easy for you to be your individual self while being in that relationship, right? With your friend or with your partner. Is to trust your gut feeling, is to trust your intuition, trust your decision, trust your thoughts. This is easier said than done, because when you have friends, especially friends that you love, friends that you raise to a high standard in your life or in society, right, you tend to want to please them, which is where you can easily fall or slip into being a people pleaser, right? So you want to always be on their good graces. You need to understand that you know what you're doing. Trust what you feel. You need to trust what you feel, what you think, how you're thinking, and it might not be perfect, but you're thinking it. It's who you are. It's valid. Do you get? You might not have the box or the puzzle like really put together. It is your phase. It is your moment. It's how you think for that moment, and it is valid. Okay, I don't believe in, not understanding life at any point in your life. Now, what that means is I don't believe in not knowing what you're doing at a certain phase of your life. Why I don't believe in that is you did what you did based on the capacity and knowledge that you had at that very phase in your life. Based on your understanding of life, you reacted that certain way, or you did things that certain way. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. It means it's a learning path for you. So you need to trust in your journey. Trust in your decisions, your actions, no matter how terrible they are. Trust that you made the right decision for that time being, for what you understood to be the solution at that time. There are signs and triggers that we feel at different times in our lives. Never overlook them. Believe that what you're feeling, that negative thought that you have about that person, that negative vibe you feel about that person is there for a reason. And 9 times out of 10, it is there to protect you. Always listen to it. No matter how involved you are with the person, no matter how fascinated you are with the person, no matter how much you see you and that person blending in, there's a reason why you're picking up on that vibe, and you always need to trust yourself. Now, the 6th thing on my list is one that I feel like I did for so long, and I still do. I'm just not going to lie to you guys, and that is not judging yourself, not judging your mistakes, allowing yourself, giving yourself grace to feel emotions, giving yourself grace to be vulnerable, to just being a girl, honestly. And for the longest time, I didn't really give myself this grace. I am and was still an intense, independent, hyper independent person. I always wanted to be perfect. I always wanted everything to be perfect. I always wanted things to be structured and organized the way I had imagined or visioned it in my head. I never saw myself as human, just living through life and learning. I never saw myself like that, to be honest. When I'll make mistakes, like when things don't go right because of something that I missed, I would be so hard on myself. I literally almost want to smack myself every single time. I would think about it so much. I'll ponder about it. I will call myself several levels and several stages of idiot. Grace is essential for life. It's essential for living. The same level of grace you extend to your boyfriend, the same level of grace you extend to your partner when they wrong you, the same level of grace you extend to your best friend or your friends that you love so much, and you just think about them as like really cute, like, oh my god, yes, they really messed up, but you know what, they're not usually like this. Why are you not treating yourself like that? Because if it's you that did the exact same thing that boy or that girl did, you almost stab yourself in the leg. Be gracious with yourself. Like I said, we are usually so hard on ourselves as human beings, and that's because we want to do better. Being patient with yourself helps you grow faster. Honestly, you always feel like you don't have it together, especially when things are not necessarily panning out the way you want it to pan out. You always feel like it's your fault. Be gracious and be patient with yourself. Everything will work out in the end. Take it one step at a time. And besides, if you're too hard on yourself, you don't give yourself room to learn. 7th tip on this list is very, very cheesy, but I didn't used to do this. But I also didn't rely on anybody to do it for me though. But I just didn't really used to do it. But when I started doing it, it just made a lot of sense. Okay, it made me feel better, because obviously I was my best friend, or I am my own best friend before anybody else. When I say these type of things to myself, I gas myself up, right? But anyway, the thing I'm talking about is complimenting yourself. A lot of times we depend on other people to tell us we look good. Tell yourself you look good, girl, because you look damn good. Okay, a lot of times I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, you are so beautiful, girl. You age with grace. Oh, your skin looks good. If you hear me hyping myself up right now, you think I'm crazy. And yes, think I'm crazy because I probably am crazy in love with myself. In fact, gift yourself for being able to arrange yourself properly, to package yourself properly, you know? And then the last thing on my list, which is probably the most important thing on this list, is to learn to celebrate yourself. A lot of us do not do this. We can sit here and gift people 1 million times and not even think about ourselves a whole year. Learn to celebrate your wins, either small or big. I have mentioned this before. No matter how little you think an achievement is, it is worth celebrating. No matter how little a milestone is, or no matter how small a win is a win. And learn to sit here and congratulate yourself for that small win. Say you've been lazy for the past 3 days, like you've not been able to step out of the house or cook yourself a meal, you've been eating out, and then on the 4th day you got up, you cleaned your house, you cooked a meal, and you still went to the gym. Even if you didn't go to gym, sis, congratulate yourself because it's not easy. Do you know how hard it is to motivate yourself? Do you know how hard it is to pump yourself up and, you know, do stuff, get things done, especially when you're not in the right mental space and you still push yourself to do it? Do you know how difficult it is? Congratulate yourself, celebrate yourself, learn to gift yourself, like prepare to gift yourself for a certain event. And the reason why I did that pause is because I remember there was a time in my life where I didn't used to give myself a gift on my birthday. I thought it was weird. Sis, if you don't go and buy yourself a birthday gift, like the way I would plan to buy my best friend something for her birthday, the same way I plan to buy myself something for my birthday each year. I always save up to buy myself something for my birthday. It's always my birthday gift from me to me. So you need to start thinking about these things, like you are your own best friend first before you are a best friend to somebody else. What you would do for your best friend, do it to yourself. You are worthy of it. You know, like, why do you think you cannot give yourself those things? Those things are what makes your best friend feel good about you, your friendship, how they feel about you. Why can't you make yourself feel good as that? Do you get what I mean? Always learn to put yourself first before you wish you had, you know, the kind of friendship that somebody else has. Make sure that you have that friendship or that relationship with yourself first. And trust me, when you start focusing on yourself and focusing on these things, how to make yourself feel good, how to make yourself the #1 priority in your life, someone good just comes along. Like, it's happened for me a lot of times. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you're able to learn a thing or two from it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye.
Listening in your car, at your job, you at home, I don't care where you at. Turn this up right now, cause we're about to go in. Hey, set that